Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so you friends see it. Thank you.
Anderson Cooper hangs head in shame after leading liberal reveals truth about what CNN is doing to Trump. Jimmy Carter just gave an explosive interview to CNN and the liberals are crying. Because he just destroyed pretty much their whole narrative. One could say, not incorrectly, that what Jimmy Carter just said could go down in history as liberalism died. It was that revealing of an interview. On the North Korean crisis, Carter said he is willing to go and try to help on the diplomatic front, saying he volunteered his services to the Trump administration but they have turned him down. He smacked the NFL players a bit, saying, "I think they ought to find a different way to object, to demonstrate. I would rather see all the players stand during the American anthem. As do all Americans. But it is still good to hear from a leading and respected liberal like Carter." He commented on Obama's all rhetoric and no substance style by simply saying, "He made some very wonderful statements, in my opinion, when he first got in office, and then he reneged on that. Kind of. Obama is all soaring rhetoric and no action, so he never intended to actually do what he said. Come on Jimmy, you are smarter than that." Then he broke Hillary's heart by saying he voted for Bernie. Ouch. But it is what he said about the media and Trump that has Anderson Cooper hanging his head in shame. I think the media have been harder on Trump than any other president, certainly that I've known about. I think they feel free to claim that Trump is mentally deranged and everything else without hesitation. Wow. From a leading liberal no less? But he wasn't done destroying the media and their fake narrative. He said the Russian connections to Trump's campaign are not a big deal. At the Carter Center we deal with Putin and the Russians quite frequently concerning Syria. I don't think there's any evidence that what the Russians did changed enough votes, or any votes. And that is how liberal dreams die, not with a bang or a whimper, but with the brutal truth. Share if you agree. Trump discovers easy way to stop ISIS rats fleeing failed caliphate from returning to Europe to commit acts of terror. ISIS is on the run. The rats are literally abandoning ship. Raqqa just fell. They have been routed in Iraq. They have been reduced to a bunch of rats floating on a piece of driftwood. With nowhere to go and no safe harbor on the horizon. This is what we wanted, a total rout, and we got it, thanks to Trump and his new plan to take the fight to them. But with each victory comes problems. And a big one is what to do with all the foreign fighters who came from Europe to join ISIS. These are the guys committing most of the terror attacks in Europe and the reason Trump has no choice to get tough. These desperate fighters are doing everything they can to sneak back into Europe where they can easily blend in with their French passports. And once there, with a valid European passport, they can easily enter the US. Thankfully General Mattis has discovered the easy way to stop this from happening. According to the Daily Mail, the top envoy for the American coalition fighting ISIS, Brett McGurk, just announced Trump's and Mattis' plan. Kill them. Right there in the desert. Stop the virus from spreading. No exceptions. He said it is vital to kill all foreign terrorists to stop them from returning home and mounting attacks back in Europe. Our mission is to make sure any foreign fighter who is here, who joined ISIS from a foreign country and came into Syria, they will die here in Syria, McGurk said. So if they're in Raqqa, they're going to die in Raqqa. France Defense Minister Florence Parly was not afraid of the liberal backlash, and for every good Trump idea there is bound to be a liberal backlash, to agree with Trump in public, saying, "If the jihadis perish in this fight, I would say that's for the best." It should be noted that no European government has gone on record to confirm whether they will actually let their citizens who went to fight with ISIS return. It is a tough issue because they are citizens. So while they won't say it publicly, except for the French, all Europe is secretly hoping Trump can clean up this mess before it gets back to them. And he will. P.S. Liberals, this is why we need the travel ban. Share if you agree with Trump's plan and are a little shocked that Trump could crush ISIS in 8 months and Obama couldn't do it in years. Ted Cruz just crushed Bernie Sanders with 5 shocking words that have millennials crying. Democratic socialist and millennial darling Bernie Sanders, IVD, met his match in Senator Ted Cruz, R. Texas, in a televised debate on CNN Wednesday night. Ted Cruz called out Bernie Sanders for who he really is, not a Robin Hood type taking wealth from the rich and giving it to a poor, but someone who wants to take money from all Americans for his redistribution scheme. First, Cruz began by asking Sanders the difference between his tax plan as a democratic socialist and the average Democrat. Bernie then launched into his typical screed waxing quixotic about Scandinavia. Here's a bit more of what he said, read closely because Cruz is going to crush him in a minute. But here's what I think. As a democratic socialist, Dad, similar to the people in Denmark and Sweden and Norway and Finland, I believe that in a civilized society, people, especially those on top, should be asked to pay their fair share so that every man, woman, and child in our country can have a decent standard of living. Note how he said especially those on top should be funding all of society's welfare. Later, Danish economist Jacob Kierkegaard asked Bernie a question and brought him back to reality. I was born and grew up in Denmark. And, you know, these are countries where the government spends taxes and spends approximately twice the level of the United States. These are countries that heavily tax everybody, not just the rich people, middle classes. They have consumption taxes on everything of 20%. Then he brought down the hammer. My sense is still that you would like to spend as a Scandinavian but not tax as one, is that right? Sanders admitted that, indeed, taxes would have to be raised substantially for his Scandinavian model to exist in America. Cruz then broke it down for everyone. You know, we just witnessed a very important moment in this debate, which is that Bernie admitted that he wants to raise everyone's taxes, not just the rich. The question was, to pay for this socialist state, you've got to raise everyone's taxes, and Bernie said, yep, that's right, your taxes are going up. That is a rare moment of candor in Washington. The operative words here are your taxes are going up. Something not many of his supporters might have thought. But the tax raise won't just be for the rich, it will be everyone, and it will be substantial. Sanders' plan for a socialized America is a creepy pipe dream that is both ripe for bureaucratic abuse in a country of 320 million people and totally at odds with American values. Cruz just reminded the world and his millennial fan base that nothing the government gives is free. HD Real Clear Politics. NPR CEO breaks silence on media's anti-Trump bias and arrogant liberals will never be the same. This is a remarkable story. Ken Stern, the former CEO of NPR, the government-funded ultra-liberal media outlet, just broke his silence on the anti-Trump media bias and the liberals will never be the same. How could they win one of their own, a liberal who ran a major news organization and helped set the agenda for the liberal media, just exposed them? They may try to argue and say it isn't true. If they do, just send them this article to read. Written by a fellow liberal who is one of the few people on the planet to know how it really works behind the scenes. Writing an op-ed in the New York Post, Ken Stern said, most reporters and editors are liberal. A now dated Pew Research Center poll found that liberals outnumber conservatives in the media by some 5-1, and that comports with my own anecdotal experience at National Public Radio. When you are liberal, and everyone else around you is as well, it is easy to fall into groupthink on what stories are important, what sources are legitimate, and what the narrative of the day will be. Correct, we are social animals and no one wants to be left out. The herd mentality, if you will. Stern continues. This may seem like an unusual admission from someone who once ran NPR, but it is born of recent experience. Spurred by a fear that red and blue America were drifting irrevocably apart, I decided to venture out from my overwhelmingly Democratic neighborhood and engage Republicans where they live, work and pray. For an entire year, I embedded myself with the other side, standing in pit row at a NASCAR race, hanging out at Tea Party meetings and sitting in on Steve Bannon's radio show. I found an America far different from the one depicted in the press and imagined by presidents, cling to guns or religion, and presidential candidates, basket of deplorables, alike. And this is where his tale takes a turn to the incredible. He went out to the real America to meet Trump supporters, and what he found shocked him. He liked us. Thought we were smart, passionate, caring, compassionate, educated, dedicated, hardworking, charitable, and not at all duped by the media's lies. He found we are a caring bunch who want to help immigrants and refugees and the less fortunate regardless of race. Oh yeah, he smacked the liberal media for trying to say Trump supporters are racists, but that we want to do it in the right way. Because we tried the wrong way for the last 40 years and look at the mess that left us? He met factory workers who explained what the media won't report about the true cost moving jobs overseas for the community. He met other Trump supporters, and at every turn he realized the media is full of BS. In short, his preconceived liberal notions were shattered. And the most shocking news of all, after seeing the real America, he converted and is now a Republican. We need to get this out there so the media will finally start covering Trump and his supporters accurately, so please give this a like and a share and help spread the truth.